Hello, I'm Matthew First, an instructor at the Computer Workshop. And in today's video, what I'm going to talk about is a question I get commonly from my JavaScript students is what is an arrow function? Well, what an arrow function is it's another way of writing function notation. So first way that we could write a function in JavaScript is by using the function keyword and then giving your function a name and then in the braces define what the function does. So in this case, this function will just set the inner HTML of my H2 tag here to this is a JavaScript function. One issue with this is JavaScript does what's called hoisting, where this function is now loaded at the global level. What we can then do is we can then create what's called a functional expression. With a functional expression, what we're doing is we're creating a variable, setting it equal to the function keyword, and then defining our function there. With the let syntax, we can control where the function is going to be visible from our code. Well, if we take a look at it, this is a lot of typing potentially for us. So with an arrow function, what we can do is we can go out and simplify the code. So here we can use the let syntax like we did with a functional expression, but instead of using the function keyword, we can just use the open and close parentheses if our function doesn't take any parameters. And then we will use the arrow notation, which is the equal greater than sign, and then use our braces to return our value. So if we take a look at the output here, this function does the same thing as our original function. Only difference is we're using a shorthanded notation. If you are writing a arrow function that's only going to return one value by default, we can simplify the code using this arrow 2. So with arrow 2 here, you'll notice here that I can get rid of the return keyword and just set my string equal to the parenthesis, and then use the arrow notation to define what the function actually does. And again, calling the functions exactly the same way that we would call a normal function if we set it up as a functional expression. We'll just use the variable name parenthesis. If we need to create a function that takes parameters, what we can do here is we can go out and add the parameters to the definition. So it's still the same arrow notation that we saw earlier, where we can create our variable, set it equal to, but instead of just having open and close parens, we can now define our parameters. And if we need multiple parameters, we can put them in there. We would then use the arrow notation and define what our function does. And again, calling our function is exactly the same way as we would call a functional expression. We just use the variable name, but now we would need to pass in our parameters. And as you can see here, we get the output from my function. So in short, what an arrow expression allows us to do is it allows us to shortcut the function definition. So instead of using function name of the function and parameters and then what the function does, we can shorthand that notation by using the arrow notation. And in some cases where you will see this is if we were going out and a parameter in an object in Java needs a function as its argument, we can go in and use the arrow notation to build that function in line. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and also like the video would be appreciated.